Halloween
Forever.
Welcome, boys and ghouls, to a fucking showdown episode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Meg.
I'm Steve.
Let's fucking get into it, guys. I'm all business today. I'm just going to say I've been in the sun. I'm sunburned. I'm hungover, and I'm here. And my blood's angry. I'm ready to just fucking fight with you
Blood
guys
is
today.
boiling
I'm
so
mad. Ready to fuck shit up today. But guys, we are here in the month of July. This is officially, if we start, if we call this year 2, right, of Halloween is Forever, this is officially the first showdown, right? No, last year technically was, last one technically was. So yeah. I'm 1-0 on the year. What are you guys? 0-1. Also 0-1.
Nice way to
shut up.
Like, throw
you guys are
in.
both 0-1. All right.
I
so
will say that I got the belt situation figured out. Mm-hmm. And they fixed it. They sent me more belts, so we're ready to go. I'll mail it to you.
Yep. I've already got the Lucha Libre championship.
Yep.
That I did
I'm
take
actually,
in June.
You know the one I'm giving, the Lucha Libre one. I'm actually just gonna put it outside, run over it with my car a couple times, and then mail it to you.
Give it that hardcore title feel.
Mail it in pieces, chopped up in pieces.
I mean, after that entrance on our live show, I'm just like watching you. I'm just watching you, bud.
Yeah, keep your head on a fucking swivel because your boy's out here for blood in year number 2. For those of you who don't know what the hell we're talking about, and for those of you who do, thank you for coming out and seeing us at Hop Farm Brewing Company for our first ever live recording of Halloween is Forever. It was so fucking much fun. It was a blast. The place looked incredible. Hop Farm pulled out all the stops, brought in an awesome florist.
Ceremonial Gardens,
who did an awesome job, made the place look so cool in the whole like May Day, May Queen theme for the release of the May Queen beer that Meg worked on. And then we brought our own little kind of special spooky touches to it. I may or may not have lost 10 pounds because I was wearing a ceremonial Garfield robe. Or it was more of a onesie, a ceremonial onesie of sorts, but it did have a hood. So it was like, I do feel that it was religious in nature.
Like, right.
Yeah.
We could have sacrificed you.
Yeah. And
why didn't we, Steve? Like, what the fuck?
Nobody else seemed to be into it.
We did get someone created that arched, the house that they sacrificed at the end of the movie too. Mm-hmm. So we could have just put him in front of it and just lit it on fire.
I got that. I'm looking at it right now, and I do need to post a picture of it because yes, one of our lovely listeners and friends who came the recording, they brought a little miniature. Not a diorama. What's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of a miniature version, I guess, that they built of the sacrificial, temple from Midsommar, which was pretty fucking sweet. In any case, we had a blast. Thank you again to everyone who showed up. But we've had some fucking cool episodes recently. We had Rob Jabaz in a 2-part interview, who is the director of The Sadness, which is currently a Shudder exclusive, which they're pushing pretty hard right now, which you definitely should check out if you haven't already. And then last week was our live episode, which was super fucking fun. And then we jump right into July Showdown episode. If anybody out there is new to the show, first of all, you got a couple bangers lined up here to listen to. But if you're not super familiar with the concept and our kind of format here, what we do is every single week we got a new episode, but once a month we do a showdown episode where our social media friends have some suggestions for us. Steve has a big spinny digital wheel that he puts all these topic ideas on. They could be genres, they could be franchises, they could be whatever, and then we spin it 3 times. We get 3 of them, we put them out on the social medias for our listeners and friends to vote on, and then we They help us pick which one we do for our Showdown episode. Then we each pick a movie associated with that topic, and then we argue about it and we vote, and someone takes home the fucking belt for the month. This month, you've probably saw on the title that you clicked on to listen to this episode, it's horror remakes and reimaginations, which is what we're going to be talking about here, which will refresh your memory on what our movies are here in a second. But if you do want to help us with those sorts of things in the future, suggesting topics, voting, doing all that type of saucy shit, go ahead and follow us on the social medias. If you just search for Halloween is Forever on the Instagram or to Twitter or to Facebook or to TikTokies, you will find Halloween is Forever on there. Or if you want to ever send us kind of an email suggestion, feel free to do that at Halloween is Forever pod at gmail.com. If that's how you like to communicate. First of all, let's do a real quick refresher. Remind us, what movies, what remakes are we going to be talking about tonight?
I chose Cape Fear.
Yeah,
because I just exclusively wanted to talk about Robert De Niro for an hour.
Good old Bobby. I call him Bobby because we have that type of relationship. He is just a greasy, sexy son of a bitch. Greasy, sexy sociopath in that movie. Steve, what did you pick? Remind us.
I have brand new to the year, Crimes of the Future by David Cronenberg.
The old Crones.
Cronenberg, yeah.
No,
that's a different thing.
No.
I have been I'm gone undiagnosed with so far, but in any case, yes, and that was the only one that I haven't watched the original of yet. And I tried to sneak it in, and I did not. I just didn't have time. Full disclosure, I ran out of time. Didn't get to watch the original of that one.
I feel like you're lucky.
I will be at a disadvantage, perhaps, but I'm interested to hear about it, and then I'll go watch it tonight. And then I picked a remake of a 1956 film, which
56, 58,
something like
there.
that. But the 1988 gritty remake of The Blob is the one that I picked. So, but before we get into those movies and we kind of hit it hard and start running into the fucking arguments here, let's talk about maybe a beer or two that we might be drinking. I just chugged some coffee. I drank a dozen beers yesterday. And the night before that, I got into a little bit of that old Thunder Chicken. Are you guys familiar with the Thunder Chicken?
Wild Turkey?
Yeah, a little Wild Turkey 101 and ginger ale. Drank a few of those on Friday night. Then drank a dozen beers in the hot sun yesterday. Haven't had any beers today, so this is my first one. But I'm 4th of July weekend. It's a marathon of alcoholism for me. So what are we drinking?
Celebrate
here?
Freedom or lack thereof. Just get wasted.
Either way, it's going to get you to a better spot. And that's where I'm at. What are you guys drinking tonight?
I'm going without alcohol tonight, but adjacent. I have the Hoplark sparkling hop water with Sabro hops in it. And it's actually really nice.
Yeah.
I'm pretty stoked on it.
I have not done the hop water yet. I haven't tried it.
It's actually really nice. I grabbed the teas as well, just looking for some alternative beery type fucking things. But I was just out in Youngstown last week for a show and popped through Noble Creature, and they're actually fucking around with it too. And those were really nice. I'm pretty sure I had one that had like Citra and then like orange in it. It was like very effervescent and is like exactly what I wanted. It was so refreshing.
Have you visited the new non-alcoholic shop that opened up in, I think it's in Allentown, Pittsburgh?
I haven't, but that's where my sister actually works. Surprisingly enough. Yeah. I haven't, but Mel, who's the owner.
Your murderous Swedish twin sister.
The owner from that place, Open Road, was actually at the live show too.
Oh, okay.
So that was cool. But I haven't been over there.
What's this place about? I don't know. I've not heard
Open
this.
Road, they were in Lawrenceville for a while, and now they're up in Allentown, and they sell exclusively all non-alcoholic liquor, wine, beer, and then all the adjacent like sparkling waters with hops and stuff like that too. So it's pretty cool.
Interesting.
It's like basically a bottle shop. if you don't want alcohol, but want alcohol like things. My sister
Gotcha.
had me smell this tequila that she had. And the only thing I noticed, I was like looking at the ingredients. I was like, there's like a lot more ingredients in here. And I don't know if I even just want to put this in my body. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious. But more so less. I kind of approach it like I want less of the, like, if I want tequila, I'm going to drink tequila. But if I want something that's just close enough, I don't want it to like possibly taste like beer either, or the alcohol that I'd be looking to drink.
I like to get like some of the NA, hop seltzers and things like that, and then put a bunch of booze in them.
That's shot of vodka for you. Actually, that might be great in something like this. So you get like the hop
ginger
character.
ale technically is an NA seltzer.
That's true.
Yeah.
I just drink ginger ale. Pour a little thunder chicken in there. No, I get it. I mean, I don't. I'll be honest with you, I don't. But I don't 100% get it. But
I just like. I feel like I'm
not trying
tainted.
to yuck anybody's yum.
I got tainted when we tried the what's the Brewdog one on the one episode. You remember my face. That was the worst thing I've ever had in my entire life.
Brewdog sucks ass.
They do.
Can I just say that across the board?
Yes.
They just
Fuck
blow.
Brewdog. We're not sponsored by Brewdog.
Listen, and I'll even say this because I think a lot of people get tied in with like what's the fucking like Tired Hands, for example. Everybody's like, oh, fuck Tired Hands. It's like, yeah, fuck that guy. Mm-hmm. And fuck the people who are like defending that guy and like, fucking what's his name, Gene something or other.
Gene Toilet.
Yeah. Yeah, like fuck that guy.
Can that be a t-shirt,
and fuck
please?
Fuck people who are insulating him and protecting him and defending him. But like every single person who has ever worked at Tired Hands or every single person who's ever worked at Brewdog isn't him. Sure. You know what I mean? But also like fuck those companies. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, but I do feel bad because sometimes, people are like a friend of mine, like, she used to work for Tired Hands and she's like, fuck, it really sucks working for a company she's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't even know about any of this. Now, all of a sudden, I'm a piece of shit too. Like, yeah, anyway, I worked for Founders Brewing Company for quite a while, so I'm sensitive to that too. Because I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. I worked there before they did shit.
And
like,
let's make
I knew
it clear,
about
though,
that
too,
stuff.
even like, I hear you, because I, at the same time, it's like hard to sometimes leave a job, especially if maybe you're getting well paid.
It takes a while.
Yeah,
What's
so
the same thing? Like,
but I'm with you in the like, it's like fuck the people who are doing the bad shit and fuck the companies or the people around them, like keeping them in place. I mean, in John's case, like, what the fuck? He's kind of back. Like, why?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Why did he ever even go away?
Yeah, I think it was for like a hot sec, and then he jumped back in. But yeah, no, I'm not saying not fuck Tired Hands. I'm just like every single person who's ever touched Tired Hands. It's like
just saying, if you see Jean, go kick him in the balls,
spit on him, do something. But it's like every single person who ever was in a Harvey Weinstein produced film isn't a horrible piece of shit who supports Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, you know what I mean?
The people dying in Amazon warehouses aren't garbage. It's the owners of Amazon warehouses that are garbage.
That's a great analogy as well. But anyway, goddamn, let's get back on track. That Brewdog NA beer sucked ass.
So bad.
It was really bad.
Please take it off the shelves.
You guys want to talk about what I was drinking?
Yeah, what you got?
I came into this episode fucked up, so
oh, fun.
I have a bottle of Chumcharum Sunhari apple soju from Korea.
Oh yeah, you've been slamming soju for about 20 hours now. I think.
Yeah, fucking rules.
I have never had soju. Never had it. Or maybe I did and I don't remember. I don't know. But
I want to know what it tastes like.
If you need to get to a place quickly, it'll take you there.
Oh.
It is like 12 to 17%. It is $6 a bottle.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is it super sweet?
Not terribly, no. So like,
what is it? Tell me. I mean, I feel I'm very ignorant to what it is.
Yeah, I just started learning about it because people were talking about like, oh, there's this really cheap alcohol that's super. I was like, where the fuck do you get it in PA? And you actually get it at Wine and Spirits, because they classify it as imported wine.
Is this like a Mad Dog replacement?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Mad Dog fucking tastes terrible. This tastes great.
Oh.
Yeah. It is.
Is it rice wine?
It's basically like a really cheap rice potato vodka, but it's flavored with like fruit flavors. And so like the apple one tastes basically no different than just like a Granny Smith apple woodchuck, but it's 12%.
Shit.
You just blast the fuck off.
It's Zoom juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Zoom juice.
Yeah, gotcha.
And that's why I investigated it, because I was hearing rumors of something.
Steve's been deep in research for, like I said, about 20 hours. I know.
Yeah.
Because I saw you post something about it on Instagram. You're like, oh man, I am fucked up on soju.
Yeah.
It's like 2 a.m. or something.
It is, hey, look, I was looking for it, and then I just got a good line about where it is, and it's surprisingly in Beaver County. So
yeah,
You have a soju guy. Okay.
Yeah, I have a soju place. I mean, it is just wine and spirits, but yeah. Went and got some, and got a couple flavors, tried them out. So far, apple is my favorite because it just tastes like cider.
Yeah.
The strawberry one's a little medicinal, so, but it's not terrible. It's still better than just drinking like, Pinnacle vodka. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I will definitely try that. This just reminded me of their place in the South Side called the Library, which I don't know if it exists anymore.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember it? The library?
I remember it, yeah.
We used to go, me and my cousin used to go down there, and they did a thing where it was like from 4 to 6 on the weekdays. They had like a pretty good draft list, but from 4 to 6 on the weekdays, they had that like every imaginable flavor of Pinnacle vodka, like probably legitimately 60 flavors, it felt like.
Yeah.
And it was like any Pinnacle shot was like $2 or something like that from 4 to 6. Yeah. And they would mix them all together and do all this wild shit. So we'd be, like just picking shots for each other, but like, all right, you have to do bubblegum root beer. And then they'd mix them together. We'd be like, oh, fuck. And then you have to do like tomato and cotton candy or whatever. Yeah, we would just mix crazy shit together.
I think that's where I first tried the Swedish Fish Pinnacle vodka.
So same. Funny. Yeah, we definitely used to. That was one that was like that was a go-to. Mm-hmm. Was the Swedish Fish vodka.
I feel like everyone kind of has a library story like that because everyone was super young and wanted to find the cheapest place to drink.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the spot to do it.
Yeah, we were in like our early to mid 20s. We were just trying to get fucked up for as cheap as possible. It was great. And they had good food too.
Yeah. Either the library or you go down to the White Eagle and they had rocket fuel for $20.
They actually let me. They at the White Eagle. They actually did a flaming Dr. Pepper for me one time. I was like,
oh yeah.
I had one night. I remember I have this one distinct memory of one of the worst drunkenness I've had ever, and it started at the library. We definitely ended up at the White Eagle, and it finished at D's. And I don't remember a lot after that.
Yeah,
it may have had
that's a straight DGen bar crawl. I love to go to. My friend from high school used to be the bouncer at the White Eagle on the weekends. So yeah, we just would get charged for like 1 in 5 drinks, and it was a lot of fun. But anyway, speaking of what I'm boozing on here, I have working my way through this Von Trapp variety pack I still have here. So I've got a little Von Trapp Helles Lager beer that I'm getting after. And listen, it's 4th of July. I'm like 6 weeks from starting to slam. Not even 6 weeks. I'm a month from slamming Oktoberfest and pumpkin beers. So I am getting all my Helles and Pilsies and all that stuff out of the way, 4th of July weekend through July. Then when my birthday hits, by August 13th, I've already drank Oktoberfest for 2 weeks. And now I'm getting into pumpkin beers.
Which they've been on the shelves, a month beforehand. But,
at that point, yes. I mean, I know our Oktoberfest at Sly Fox, we started canning last week.
Oh, nice.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You know what I want you to do for your birthday this year is just get a picture taken of you in like a baby pool with a bunch of pumpkin beers around you.
Yeah. I think I could probably figure out a way to make that happen. All right. Let's get into this motherfucking set of flicks here. So your boy, once again, don't mean to rub it in, but I am currently in possession of that fucking shoulder candy. That strap.
What?
Because I am the current champ.
Sure, yeah. First to win, first to lose. So let's go.
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's all right. 1-0, baby, undefeated on the year. So we are going to jump into our reimaginations. I am going to do this. I think I want Steve to go first.
That's good because I'm loaded. So let's
then. Because Steve's going to fall asleep. So Steve is going to go first. Then, you know what? I'll say, Meg, do you want to go second or third? I'll leave it up to you.
I feel like if whatever I say, you're going to do the opposite.
No, I'm just asking you, which would you prefer?
I want to go second.
No, Meg's last. So I'm going to go second. You fell for it.
I actually wanted to go third.
You didn't know what I was doing. You sniffed out my mind games here. All right. So Steve, but either way, Steve, you're up first.
Brain Wars. Right. So
she knew what I was doing right away.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
Brian, are you the one drunk here? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, I'm the least drunk, actually. Wait, no, you're drinking NA. I'm second most drunk, and I've had half a can.
Right. You also have residual, so.
I know. Oh, God.
So, yes, let's get into Crimes of the Future, 2022, directed by David Cronenberg. It stars Viggo Mortensen, who has become, that's become his Leo to Martin Scorsese's, that pairing. Yeah. Scorsese left De Niro in the dust and picked up Leo, said, that's my boy now.
Yeah, he
Should
really
we warn
has.
people there may be mild spoilers? I know you said you wanted to kind of okay. So everyone,
yes. It's a good call. We're going to spoil the living shit out of these movies, I think, probably.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're going to spoil these movies. We'll probably spoil the originals as well. Mm-hmm. So, be aware that that's all coming. And I understand that this is a new movie, so you may not have seen it. So I can't tell you where to fast forward, but maybe you would just want to until you hear Brian start talking more than me. So, but yeah, Crimes of the Future. It is far more a reimagining than it is a full remake. Mm-hmm. But I'll also say an interesting thing about this movie is even though both the original Crimes of the Future was directed by David Cronenberg and this reimagining was, it also has the longest time span between the two films. So, if you think of Cape Fear, the original with Mitchum and Peck was 62, right, and then 91. That's 29 years. And then the two Blob movies are separated by about 30 years, around that. This is 52 years. Mm-hmm. Because
I did not even know until you said at the live show. I didn't realize this was a remake.
Yeah.
Same.
So it is, again, it's not a full remake. It's it's more of a reimagining.
Or reimagining. Yeah.
It is definitely, there are different elements in the original, but the original is far more of a student film. And it just was because, Cronenberg is from Canada, and so he made a really arty student film, and I believe even the incarnation that you can watch on YouTube for free, that is been re-edited or enhanced because he added a voiceover track. Because I think beforehand it was just all these weird sound cues. And Meg, you watched the film, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so you heard how it's just a lot of weird sound cues of bug noises or alarms and sirens.
Yeah. But you've read that that voiceover was specifically added later. I mean, I think it helped. I think it fucking helped.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise you had to figure out a lot. Yeah. Otherwise. But yeah, if you watch it, it's just so student filmy.
You would have said, what the fuck, a lot without that voiceover.
Right.
Why are they touching their feet?
There's so much feet stuff. They're also just obviously...
Is Tarantino involved with this? Or I
just think Cronenberg likes kinks. He just likes kinks.
Yeah. That's the thing. Cronenberg started with feet. and then he expanded out. Like, you get in the Crash, and then you get into this new Crimes of the Future, and you just see like, oh yeah, he's looking to really get his kinks out there. But yeah, the other thing is the original was just obviously all filmed on campus. You know, you can see just, you know, the heavy brutalism architecture that's in, you know, Ontario and Toronto, which I think is where he's from in Canada, and it's just so obviously a school. And he just found like the drama department and filmed in there, and filmed in the quad, and filmed in like their weird art structures. But yeah, the new film is all filmed in Greece. Everything is broken down, destroyed. It looks like a much bleaker future as compared to the original. The one big, or at least the two big ties between the films are these ideas of cosmetics and how they are going to affect our future, and the way like cosmetics and just general convenience are so tied to the way we're progressing ourselves as humanity.
So it's sounds far less dystopian.
Yeah. It's.
I mean, from an aesthetic perspective, like this one, the new one was like full on Matrix almost feel to it.
Oh yeah. Like this one is like, he really took advantage of everything that, like, because you see all the ships that are grounded, so it looks like the water has receded. You know, like there's a water crisis, like there's flies everywhere, so you can assume that there's just like shit rotting in the streets all the time.
Yeah.
And just everything is dirty, like, and nothing looks good. Like, even when they go into the spaces of high society, everything is dirty and shit.
Did you take that as, I really paid it, that kept sticking with me. And was that meant to portray this idea, which they do talk to at one point, where like humans have evolved beyond, like, you know, there's a whole thing about evolution, which we won't get into yet, but it's that there is no more infection.
Right.
So they don't really care if things are clean.
Right. Yeah, I think that's part of it.
And no one can feel pain at that point too.
Yeah, no pain, no infection. So it's like, who cares if things are clean? But like, you would think that people would still have some aesthetic preference towards cleanliness, but I don't know.
Yeah, you would think, but I think that's also just part of, you know, the idea that like society in general has just collapsed.
Yeah,
like nothing
seem to be the
matters
case.
is what I kind of took away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nihilistic. But then like the big arc of this is that there are still people who care for the sake of bureaucracy, essentially.
Yeah.
Because you have all these government agents, essentially.
Yeah.
Just to break down the plot in the most simplistic way, this film is, what if The Departed was really depraved?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
It's hard to really get into the plot without giving too much away, but the other tie between the original film and this is, in the original film there was a character who grew vestigial organs as part of his evolution.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was in the original film. It wasn't a big part of it, but it was part of it.
Okay, I was curious whether that was in the original.
And then that's what's been really focused on in this film, is that you have, you know, this character who, like, played by Viggo Mortensen, he grows organs, you know, and it seems possibly at will, or it just happens.
Yeah.
And then as performance art, he has them removed.
And I think he's one of the few people that can like still feel pain though too. Correct?
So the way he feels pain is that he only feels pain when he sleeps.
Okay.
And so they've built, and there's a number of people who feel pain when they sleep, and so they've built these weird beds. They're called orchid beds, and the beds move your body as you sleep to keep you out of pain.
I'm not
They
gonna
like anticipate the pain.
Yeah,
Right.
I was almost going to say
Yeah.
that was, I thought, one of the coolest parts of this movie is how they like created and imagined even the almost, I want to call it a high chair type thing, like when you eat and it does the same thing, like
The breakfast.
Yeah, but it's like made of bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between the chair and the bed, they were the two most Cronenbergy things that ever Cronenberg.
Right.
Like it was just, they were so fucking
Wait,
cool.
can I bring
like,
the Cronbone thing in for the high chair?
Cronbone. I did say, I wrote down the biomechanical rusty flesh bed and the fidgeting bone chair are the most Cronenbergy things I've ever seen. But still, during that scene, the only thing I could think of was, who eats bacon like that? When she picked it up with a spoon and bit it, I was like, that's the most far-fetched thing in this movie.
What a weirdo.
Fucking weirdo. Guy's over there fidgeting around in a bone chair. I'm like, fucking weirdo eating bacon like an idiot.
Yeah. So you bring it up, and like, again, the breakfaster chair is what it's called. And that, I think a lot of the naming conventions of like the way institutions and equipment and things like that, because like there's another thing in there called a ripcord, there's another thing, like all those kind of weird naming conventions also tie back into the original student film. Like a lot of the institutions are just like these obtusely named things, like the Metaphysical Import Export Company is in the original or is in the original film. So it's like a lot of just weird stupid shit. But then like the character names are also bizarre for no reason. Like Timlin and, Saul Tensor. Like they're not names that we have currently.
No, well, Saul is okay, but Tensor does sound like some sort of like surgical implement or something,
Yeah. And then you have like Whippet and Burst, and these just he just has like weird names that sound
they're dystopian American Gladiator names.
Yeah. You're going to go up against Burst and the Eliminator.
Burst and Coil and, whatever else.
You've got Whippet on the Assault.
Yeah. Shooting the tennis balls down. Yeah.
So, there are things that sound familiar, but they're also just slightly off, and you can tell that they're slightly off. And I think that is also another theme that you find in, I think it's like Adrian Tripod is the name of the main character. Yeah. And then you have Chumpkins, I believe is another name in the original. So
Chumpkins.
Yeah, they sound right, but they're wrong. Like just something off.
Yeah.
So and I think overall this movie is a good representation of just like the culmination of all of his work, Cronenberg that is. Because you have these themes that he's pulled from the original student film, but like you're talking about that bone chair and that all that weird stuff is definitely ripped out of like Videodrome and Existence. Like there's a weird organ bone gun in Existence, so like there's a lot of things from that. You get elements of The Fly with the plastic eaters. You get and then like obvious parallels between Crash in this, because Crash is all about like weird disfigurement and car wrecks and things bringing sexual pleasure. Yeah. Whereas this is about like how surgery and deforming and degrading, doing depraved acts to your body because you no longer feel pain is the way people experience pleasure in this film.
Do you think it's like it's almost this idea, and you get deeper into the meaning of it, because at first it just seemed like people were just getting horny by disfiguring themselves and others, basically, right? But there is and it is very like a kink type thing, and it's not gendered at all, but there is very much a I guess like a top and bottom type of thing. You know what I mean? Where some people like to have the damage done to them and others like to be the one doing it. So, but it's not sadomasochistic or sadistic necessarily. It's actually like kind of oddly romantic.
Yeah.
And obviously like hypersexual, but basically anything that kind of makes you feel like biologically vulnerable is sexually exciting to people.
Yeah. And I think it's far more about like that sensual intimacy of, you have Saul and his performance artist partner Caprice. And she gets pleasure out of performing the surgeries on him, but it's never like you never see them together in a way like they don't fuck, you know.
Didn't they say something about that? I feel like, I mean, I only watched through it one time, so but I thought he said something about that, like how he can't, like maybe he can't do it.
There's different allusions to it throughout the film. So like when they first visit the registry, they're the two people at the registry, Kristen Stewart and I forget the name of the actor, but Whippet.
I looked him up. He's in like so Yorgos. Many things.
Yeah, I think it's like
he's
Yorgos
in so many things.
Something, but I can't remember his last name. But yeah, the two of them together, they're like trying to suss out like the nature of their relationship, and Saul is very on the ropes of trying to say it's very professional, despite even though it's not professional. And then there's later instances between Saul and Timlin, played by Kristen Stewart, where Timlin is obviously attracted to Saul and trying to, you know, be a part of his life. And like he says like he's bad at the old sex.
Yeah, maybe that's what I heard or something like that. But Kristen Stewart, she was horny as fuck for Vigo.
Very horny.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she's like, when they started making out, that she insisted on like looking in his mouth first. It was like, it was this very like she was.
No, it wasn't just looking in his mouth. She put her fingers in his mouth.
Yeah.
Grabbed out a slop of slime.
Yeah.
And then put it in her own mouth. It is probably one of the most, I don't know, it was skin crawling. Yeah. But also, I kind of have to applaud Kristen Stewart for being so bold to do that. It is, yeah. I have honestly not seen a lot of films with her in it. Like, I saw, like, Panic Room.
Yeah.
This is the last one I remember because I don't watch Twilight. I don't watch this fucking Huntsman movies. I don't...
Yeah, it's weird because I've definitely not seen her in a role like this, which I think she pulled it off. I mean, this is a very, like I said, I don't want to say cartoonish movie, but like everyone's character is pretty
exaggerated.
Exaggerated. Yeah. I was going to say dramatic, but no, like exaggerated on purpose kind of thing.
Yeah. There is a real exaggeration. It feels you wanted to say cartoonish, but actually I feel like it feels more like a stage play. The way especially like again Kristen Stewart, she's very like idiosyncratic. She's, you know, kind of like she's playing nerdy, but also just like the way she moves is just like she's very forceful. She's very in your face,
hyper type A kind of personality,
right?
But everyone does, like everyone. And again, you're meant to believe this is a cultural difference in the future where like information is, you know, very fluid and that sort of thing, I would assume, where people speak in a very kind of like matter of fact way.
Right.
Like there's very little in the ways of like social pleasantries in this world.
Right. And like the other way you get that is through this character, Cope, who is the head of the NVU, which is the new vice unit, which is the unit that is meant to stop all of these weird biological surgeries, as well as their whole thing is they want to stop human evolution, essentially. Because they see that, you know, because of people like Saul Tenser with the way he grows his own organs, and they see it in other people through surgery, they see evolution coming about and they want to stop it. They are the old guard. But the character of Cope, he speaks in a very funny way of it's not, there's that matter of factness about it, but then he always has this kind of coy way of being like, oh, how do you say, or, oh, what do I mean? Like he gives himself pause when he doesn't need to. He knows what he's about to say.
Right.
So yeah, he's always playing subversive, or not subversive,
like coy.
But we also, we totally like learned, you know, later on in the movie how I think maybe he might be the most honest in that way because he was playing, you know, he was definitely acting, and because he just was like, hey, yeah, we do have people on the inside, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah, but he's definitely like, they're all very interesting characters in the way they play things just very off the cuff up front. And they're not it is very much like a stage play, and you can read deeper into characters and their emotions. I feel like Saul, and he has a lot of good scenes, especially like you get the one scene between him and Whippet when they're talking about the inner beauty pageant. Yeah, and like with the way he kind of has his body language shift in the very next scene with Timlin, as she is like very chasing and trying to get something out of him.
She's got this almost like she's got this like predatory kind of approach. But he also is like, because he is like in this circle is like a celebrity.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he is weirdly like a like a sex symbol kind of for these people. So it's like he is being exploited, or is very vulnerable to being like sexually exploited, but that's also kind of the name of the game for him. So it's very strange.
Yeah, and it just all leads back into like the whole artistry of it all. Is like, the art is very personal to him, but like the other part of this art is that Caprice will tattoo his organs, and then they'll remove the organ to display for everybody. And like, so she gets a part of the art, and then everybody else gets a part of the art because they get to see it happen. And then you get other glimpses of like how this world works, of like the different body modifications. You have the guy who's covered in ears, and they're just like in a dirty basement, and he's like, it's funny the way Saul calls that like just escapist propaganda, because you even feel it is that way, because the guy is covered in ears and he's just like, now's the time to listen to techno music and dance with your ears.
It was very like surface level-y kind of thing.
I even had a note of just like, I was drunk, but I had the note of like, Blade is going to fuck up all these weirdos.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
Yeah.
It seems like he's going to come in, like they're going to start spraying the blood down from the sprinkler system, and he's going to come in and fuck everybody up. Yeah. Then
you have like these other experiences of like this high art of this woman who also considers herself an art piece and allows people to perform surgery on her. And she's all about like defacing her beauty. And like cutting gills into her face, and she's about rejecting her old body, even though she is not trying to fight against anything that her body currently performs. Tensor is very about like rejecting what his body's trying to do. He's fighting against himself the entire time, which is a lot about what this movie is about. Big spoilers for this. The whole film is focused on the death of this child, and this is where you get some of those fly callbacks, but the child is very into eating plastic, and he's very weird, and his mother kills him for being so fucking weird.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
That's insane.
In the first like 5 minutes, you get a kid getting smothered. It's pretty harsh.
Which so far, I mean, granted, you don't see his face, stuff like that, but you don't really see kids getting killed like that. That was pretty intense.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal start to the movie.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Especially because you thought it was something else, and then that's how they start the movie. So but through that kid's death, his father is looking to have him his body used as performance art, because his father wants his organs on display to show what led him to be able to digest plastic. Why did he eat plastics? And it's because his father is also part of this cult of plastic eaters who have gone through the surgical, like they said it's like a collaborative effort of people who like came up with these very specific set of surgeries that allow you to consume the world's waste.
So it's like he's like he is there's like a protocol that they've established that they believe is directly tied to like human scientific discovery and evolution are one in the same. And they believe that's why everything is speeding up so bad so much evolutionarily speaking, where all these people were developing new organs and all these types of things. And there's a lot of gray area and disagreement among people in terms of why are humans evolving so quickly and in this way, and is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? And this is the government stance essentially is that it's a bad thing, and this group of people is that it's a good thing,
right?
And we're going to embrace it so much so that we're going to use technology we have access to make ourselves even more susceptible to this evolution.
Two of my favorite lines, I think, came out of just this scenario, and one of them was, I think you kind of touched on it, was like, we gotta start feeding off our own industrial waste. And I was like, oh shit, man. Yeah. Just because obviously, like, we have a lot of relevant things in our own society. So, and then the other one was when Viggo's character was visiting the mom, and he was like, if they found your son's body and did an autopsy, what do you think they'd find inside? And she responded with outer space. And I was like, oh, that's so fucking cool. Like, I don't know. It was just a neat line.
Yeah, I love that line too, just because it adds like this weird like sense of like, oh, what are we actually going to see? Like when they open them up, and like through the father, you learn again, like he gained the ability to eat plastics. They all gained the ability to eat plastics through surgeries, but then his son that was killed at the start of the film, he had it naturally,
right?
And so he was supposedly the firstborn that could eat plastics, with no problem. He does allude though that, the reason why Viggo has so many problems, why his breakfast or chair doesn't work with him, why his bed doesn't work, like why he's always growing organs, is because he is the next step in evolution. And it's actually possible that Viggo might be naturally predisposed to this as well.
The joke, or the big question mark too, was like, how did this elective surgery that these people did to themselves to be able to do that, to be able to eat plastic, and they're eating it in the form of these like almost protein bars kind of thing.
So he shows them like they have a bucket of microplastics, and then they melt down the microplastics into these purple candy bar like things that they're, and
then that's all they eat. But the question mark, which you never fully get answered, is the kid. How did the kid genetically inherit the ability to digest plastics if the surgery his father had was elected? It was from surgery. It's not like it was a genetic thing.
Yeah. And so I think that's what gets answered at the end of the film though.
Yeah.
Because the end of the film is Viggo finally gives in, and he eats one of the plastic candy bars. And like he's in his breakfaster chair that's shaking him around, and he eats the plastics, and the chair finally settles down.
Right.
Because he's finally at one. The whole idea is to gain balance and harmony with the techno world, and by eating the plastics, he finally does.
Yeah.
And so I think the answer to what you're saying, Brian, is that it had nothing to do with the surgeries that the father took place in. Yeah. Like it's a thing that's happening despite itself.
It does seem to be that does seem that to be the case, although they don't explicitly. And unless I missed it, they don't explicitly say that Saul responds, because that's kind of and it actually was a really great, I know we're jumping to the end of the movie, but it was a really great kind of anti-climax in a way, because it's like a movie where so much happens,
right?
And so much crazy imagery and all this stuff, but then the climax of the movie is a guy eating a candy bar looking thing and seeing how he reacts to it. And they don't explicitly show it.
No. So what they show is I think the explicit, what you have to read into is the fact that the chair stops shaking him around and moving, and that he just gains peace that way. Right. And then he drops a single tear out of his eye, and that is like his realization and acceptance of who he is.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that they do, it's not on the surface as well. But the people who'd had the surgery who are plastic eaters, they don't vomit up the foam like the fly that dissolves the plastics the way the sun does.
Yeah.
But Vigo is always clearing his throat.
Yeah.
And I think that's because he's always producing that foam to melt down the plastics. So again, these surgeries have nothing, they're actually not tied. Yeah. It is natural human evolution that, we evolved to dissolve plastic. It's just these other people caught on to it quicker and did it to themselves.
I'm curious.
But it was always going to happen this way.
I'm curious if part of the inspiration for like this concept, because it's cool. I kind of think it's an interesting concept a lot, but it's like for how much like microplastics that we eat are apparently, what is it, like every week? It's like eventually, guys, better get ready for it.
Yeah, get ready to start, digesting all the shit in your soap.
What if I just took JR and just bit his head off and just didn't even realize and just started eating my JR action figure?
Hey, it's the future, man. You're stocking up. You're actually fully stocked, I think, for the future.
By God. What did we just say? By God. Yeah, so I didn't think about that, Steve, with the clearing of the throat, which the clearing of the throat thing he kept doing, like he couldn't breathe, was really one of the most unnerving. Like that really gave me the heebie-jeebies. I hate that idea of like not being able to breathe and there being like something kind of caught in your throat or whatever. And I do remember in like middle school or high school, being a stupid kid, we would, dare each other to eat things. And like, I'll give you $10 if you eat this or whatever. So we would do that at the lunch table. And I once chewed up and ate an entire like bouncy ball, out of a quarter machine for like $20 or something. And I remember the idea of chewing it up and eating, swallowing the little pieces, and they did not want to go down your throat. Like my throat was clearly like, stop it, like closing up as I was forcing it down with like drinks of milk or whatever. Ooh. And that is the feeling I kept getting when I saw him like close. And I didn't take it as that was the dissolving liquid that was there, which it very well could have been. But in the moment, I was taking that as that was his body responding to him trying to eat.
Right. Yeah, because
you know what I mean?
he's trying to eat food.
They were doing what the plastic, my throat was doing when I was trying to eat the rubber ball, but it was when he was trying to eat organic food.
Right. Yeah. When he tries to eat organic food, it does that. But like just throughout his daily life, because he's not taking in what he should be, which is plastic. Like he's always getting that buildup of just, like slime in it or whatever it is, slime or foam. He's always clearing his throat. He's always choking on it.
It's almost his saliva. Yeah. It's almost like a Pavlov's dog response. You know what I mean? When he was like, I'm hungry, so my body is producing the thing that is needed for me to get sustenance.
Right. And with how many plastic things he's around, just in his daily life, he's having that Pavlovian response to wanting to eat the shit he sees.
But that's weird because he never seemed to have a desire that he expressed, at least, to eat plastics. Right. Whereas, like, I mean, there are tons of, physiological responses that people who have different either various disorders or ailments or even biological changes that are happening, like where there are oh boy, where did I read this? But this idea of women who are pregnant having the desire to eat soil.
Yeah.
Like dirt.
Getting pica.
Yeah, because they eat dirt. Because it's like something about some nutrient like iron or something like that. Their body is subconsciously telling them like that thing that it sounds disgusting is actually appetizing to you right now because subconsciously your body knows it has iron and you need to consume that. So you would think he would be like getting real like he'd be hungry if he saw something plastic and like instead he has to almost like come to the conclusion on his own.
Yeah. I think maybe that's just like he has the thought in his head, but he just never follows through with it.
And at the end, he does that is kind of supported in the sense that he's like, all right, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, but also he kind of plays this like hero type character where he thinks he's doing something right by helping that like that old guard type thing of like maintaining and passing along. So he might think that even that desire is not good. And
yeah, he's suppressing it in a way.
Yeah. By helping the old guard and by always removing his extra organs, like he's fighting against the change that he knows is actually inherent in him.
Did you mention the fact that he's undercover?
No, we didn't really talk about how he's undercover working with Cope. But yeah, I mean, we already said big spoilers, so we're past that part. So
yeah.
He's an undercover agent who is infiltrated this like performance art for surgery world, and he's reporting on all that. But then you also, there is one of the reasons why I said it's departed but depraved, because he's undercover, but at the same time, the people who work for the Bureau are also trying to get into this world. So it's like they worship him, but they also working for the enemy. But he's working for the enemy. It's all there.
I love that. The thing I like about this movie the most is when you start to dip your toes into it and start to really kind of you start to get your head around what's happening. You're like, oh, there's a lot of like very surface level like sexual metaphors and things like that, right? But then as you go deeper, you're peeling back layers of the onion to the point where it's like, it's not just sexual, it's like bodily autonomy and everything gets confused between like all your biological functions are being shuffled around.
Right.
You know what I mean? Food is work and pain or biological functionality is sex, and it's just it's kind of all mixed together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's one of like the interesting things of like the characters in the film, because they all exist on these different levels of that realization as well. Like obviously Saul gets down into the deepest, and Caprice kind of follows him, but she doesn't know him as well as either. But then like you have Timlin, who is very much on this surface of, this surgery is sex. And like you even see like how surface level she is in the crassness of the tattoos she does on the organs at the end. Yeah. So yeah, you see how deep these different levels of people are. So yeah.
But you might have just revealed something to me. So with the boy, and again, more spoilers here, with all the tattoos, that was Timlin? That's the person on the inside?
Yeah, Timlin was on the inside. She's the one that did it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I like fully, because I was thinking it was like those other two chicks that were like starting to kill people and blah, blah, blah. But...
Cope says it very explicitly in their last meeting.
I kind of didn't like how explicit it was.
Yeah.
It bummed me out a little bit because like this movie was like leading you to a lot of different conclusions, and I like the nebulous nature of it. And then that like it wasn't necessarily an exposition dump, but I do think they spoon fed that part in a way that didn't need to be there. Or was at odds with the rest of the movie a little bit.
Kind of, but again, everybody speaks very matter-of-factly and they lay everything out.
Yeah, it didn't seem unnatural in conversation. I just wish it wasn't as... I wish it was more show, don't tell. Like they would had Caprice, do something that you were like, oh, I guess she is the mole. You know what I mean? Because the whole time, the story's being told from the perspective of Saul, and Saul is the one who is working towards this greater good thing. But like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed, he's getting caught up and being slowly... there's a lot of gray area for what he actually believes, and that is becoming at odds with his ultimate mission.
Right. So, yeah, you do get some bits of Caprice, but like maybe a couple more scenes like with Caprice and Timlin. Like if Caprice showed Timlin how to tattoo organs, it would have made it click in a more show don't tell way than just having Cope say it at the end. So,
and then here's the other. Wait. hold on, I'm getting them mixed up.
Okay.
Caprice was in the inside, not.
No.
I mean, Tim Lim's on the inside, not Caprice.
Kristen Stewart's character was the one who tattooed the organs on the boy. Yeah.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
But Tim Lim,
I thought I for some reason I heard it in reverse, and I was like, wait, do we need to clarify we're talking about two different people? I might have misheard you though.
But yeah, like they're very clear throughout the film that Timlin really wants to be the new Caprice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if there was like a scene between Caprice and Timlin where like Caprice took her on as like an apprenticeship or something and like showed her how to do what she does, then maybe it would have clicked a little better without. That's all I was saying. But
yeah.
Overall, the film is, like I said, it's much more of a reimagining, but it's also a culmination of everything that Cronenberg has done. You see so many elements throughout the film, but great film. I love it. I will watch it again.
I really fucking liked it a lot. Like I said, that it wasn't perfect. There were some parts that I was like, and it's any movie like this that is so bold in its take, like it's just there's gonna be some bridges that you have to cross yourself a little bit, but holy shit, I definitely shut that one off and was like, what a fucking movie. He just Cronenberg the fuck out of that thing. I thought it was fantastic. I will watch that movie for sure a lot more.
And then again, it's just like, because there's that 52 years that separate like his original student film and this film, you get to see like how far he's come of just like all the visionary things. Because like honestly, that original 1970 is a rough fucking watch. If you've never been in film school, you're probably gonna hate it.
So let me ask you this, because I didn't watch the original beforehand, and now I'm kind of almost glad that I didn't, because it left more surprises for me to discover.
Sure.
But does it really, like, is there enough? Because it sounds pretty wildly different.
Yeah.
So if I would have watched the first movie, if I would have watched the first one first, would that have like not spoiled, but like led me to make conclusions earlier, perhaps, on certain things? No, it doesn't sound like it, right?
The story is very different. It's more about like the other elements that surround. And like I said, this is much firmly more in the reimagining than it is remake, because it's not a remake of the plot. It's a reimagining of the world.
I think it'd be really cool to see like this potentially be something he would reimagine over and over again, but like do it well like this one was. Because I think you can take the idea and the stories but have a totally different story, totally different environment, and do something really cool with it.
Yeah, because the original is definitely about human evolution at odds with like product and consumerism. Like that's definitely a huge part of it. And then, like I said, there's the one character who grows vestigial organs that is very obviously the inspiration for Saul Tenser. But the two stories aren't very aligned at all.
It's interesting, but it does sound like a very natural progression of the idea, where in 1970 they were worried about the effects of consumerism, and now 50 years later consumerism has done the thing that it predicted, so now the waste associated with consumerism is the bigger risk, because now we're having to deal with the symptoms of the problem because we've let it fester for so long.
That's a very astute way to like, it's very much, because they're afraid of like, in the original, they're afraid of like the cause, they're afraid of like the chemicals and everything in the cosmetics. And eventually what it is the cosmetics cause a disease that kill basically all post-pubescent women.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so very different. Okay. But this is almost a sequel in a way.
It's almost a sequel or possibly anthology in a way, but
anthology
certainly a continuation. Now, is the person who grows the organs in the first movie named Saul and much younger?
I don't think they give them a name even.
Okay,
but they are younger.
Right.
Because everybody in the film is a college student.
So what I'm saying is what I'm saying
Brian's
is
really driving this one home
this
right
is
now.
a
Just go fucking
sequel,
watch
and
it,
are
bro.
you disqualified?
No, it's not a sequel.
Is this a sequel, and are you disqualified?
No, it's not a sequel because there's obviously women in this film.
I also thought, I was like, that the remake or reimagining, when I was watching these two, I was just like, man, we can't fight them too hard because it's in theory reimagining.
You want to be careful.
No, I'm being an asshole. It's clearly not a sequel. I just was being a dick. But yeah.
Yeah, you didn't even see it. You can't win.
I know, I can't. That's why I'm trying to talk you into your own demise
No,
here.
absolutely not. It's a very hard reimagining, but again, 50 years. You have to, come up with something new.
Let's make a point to say too, you brought this like topic into the whole thing, is that you felt like Crimes of the Future brings in all these elements of Cronenberg. So if we're really thinking about the originality of this, is it really super original and a really great reimagining of something that was super original 50 years ago?
Oh yeah, no, it's a reimagining of the original film, but it's a culmination of all his work.
Yeah, sure. he can't rip himself off.
Yeah, it's all it's all his work.
I know. I'm just like fucking with you right now.
You can try, but
you can always reference it's always safe to reference yourself.
Yeah, this isn't this isn't Tarantino stealing from everybody else.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Tarantino stole feet from Cronenberg.
Cronenberg is the original kink monster of Canada.
The original feet
That's
guy.
a t-shirt, Kink Monster of Canada. It's just a picture of Cronenberg. But it's not even from like this movie or anything. It's him playing the killer in Nightbreed.
Okay. I was actually gonna make it David Lynch because
that would be even funnier.
They look similar. They
do look a little bit similar. Yeah.
Just a frock of white hair and
yeah. The only difference, I think, is if they just put a different nose on him.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. One of them wears glasses and they have different shaped noses. That's it.
Yeah.
Actually, what if David Lynch is just David Cronenberg's alter ego, where he just puts, when he becomes Cronenberg, he just puts one of those glasses and nose combinations on.
God.
And now he's Cronenberg.
And then just yells.
And then just, yeah.
But
all right.
That's Crimes of the Future.
It's Crimes of the Future, boys and ghouls.
Continued in part 2.